Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Untapped Podcast. My name is Jacob Gabel.
And my name is Jacob Wurtz, guys. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 14.
A great episode today.
Little 314 there.
Let's
St.
go,
Louis, baby.
STL. Let's
St.
go.
Louis, baby.
Let's go.
Guys, if this is your first time joining us for the Untapped Podcast, first of all, thank you for choosing us and welcome. We are so happy and honored to have you here with us. We actually have 5 main formats of our podcast, if you didn't know. So our overall idea of the brand is to combine mental and physical health into one, okay? So first, we have Forging Fortitude episodes. In these episodes, we cover the mental side of things, okay? We go over a lot of our anecdotal experiences with mindset and mentality specifically, the things we've gone through, the things we've done to get through those types of situations, and we pass on advice to you guys so that you can then apply them to your own life. Next, we have physical vitality episodes. In these ones, we cover the physical side of the brand, okay? You have 2 certified personal trainers here. This is really where we get to showcase our expertise, okay? So we cover workouts, diet, fitness in general, fitness programs such as 75 Hard. We love to talk about 75 Hard. We talk a lot about outdoor workouts. Now we're both running, so we talk about that as well. So this is really where we get to showcase what we do on a day-to-day basis. We bring science in when needed. We also give a lot of our experience and opinions on things.
The running is a large change for us.
Massive.
Large change.
Massive.
Third format, guys, is our breaking news format. That is how history connects to current day. It's also mainly a current event-based type of format. When you tune into these shows, you're going to get a lot of talking shit. You're going to get a lot of us calling out stuff, and you're also going to get a lot of factual information, us bringing in articles, us bringing in research that shows different things that are going on in the world, you know, what's right, what's wrong, that type of thing. Then our fourth format is our Knights Table episodes. Now, the Knights Table episodes, they are masculinity-based format. So when you tune into these type of episodes, you're going to get a lot of talk about being a strong man, us bringing you along that journey because we're 2 24-year-olds and a 22-year-old bringing you along the journey to become a masculine man, a strong father, a strong husband, everything you name it that comes along with the journey of being a masculine man and why it's important to have masculinity in this world and it is not toxic.
So important.
So important.
Yes.
Fifth format is our guest format, ladies and gents. Now, that's when we sit down with somebody that we feel brings you value. Could be a fitness professional, could be an entrepreneur. It could be somebody that is just a professional in their particular field. Those are a lot of fun. We love bringing on guests. That was our last one with Mr. Connor Goodrich.
Awesome episode.
Yeah, he was phenomenal, former U.S. Army soldier. And then, guys, our final thing to introduce is our producer and my brother, Mitchell Gabel.
Hello.
Money
What's going
Mitch.
on, gentlemen?
What's going on,
What's
dude?
happening, boys? Let's go.
So all 3 of us, we're coming off of our first men's night physical activity. We had a ruck with, what did we have, 8 total?
Nine total,
Nine
guys.
total.
Yep.
9 total. Come out, that includes us. Come out with us. We went a little over 3.5 miles. We got some interviews with a couple of the guys. And
great content.
You guys will see those throughout the week as we post those and whatnot. But it went so awesome. I mean, it went so good.
So really I told you this right after, but it just confirmed for me how important physical activity is for men especially. And of course, like it's obviously important for women. I'm not, degrading that point of it.
No,
but
of course.
In this scenario, it's so obvious how guys, we bond over doing hard things together, physical things together, that type of stuff, just because of the fact we like struggling to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Or that getting our heartbeat going, getting, a little bit of sweat going.
Yeah.
We start talking about things that we might not usually talk about.
Right.
And I think it went phenomenal. I'm excited to bring, more sports, more, rucks like that, more small group activities like we've been doing and whatnot.
Yeah.
So super exciting stuff with the men's nights.
I mean, Connor said it in our episode with him, through the Army, through the military, the reason those guys have such tight bonds and really form brotherhoods is because they go through those physical hard things together. And the only thing that's going to get you through is if you're doing that for your brother right next to you.
Yep.
So we're trying to almost simulate that in our own way. And it felt good. And the conversations that you and I had separately with people were awesome. A lot of the guys were getting together on their own, talking, even without us. And it was a beautiful night for it too. My goodness. I mean, middle of July and it was 70.
That'll play.
Yeah,
that'll
it was
definitely
awesome.
play.
It was absolutely awesome.
Moved to Missouri.
Yeah, right. So those of you that were on that ruck with us last night, obviously when you guys are hearing this on Monday, it was a couple nights ago. We appreciate the hell out of you coming out for that. We really do. It means so much to us when you guys continue to come. We had a couple first timers. We had a couple guys that had been there at every single meeting so far. Again, a wide age range, from 17 to 30.
Yep.
It was awesome. They've been going really, really well. For those of you that maybe have tried to come into our meetings and haven't quite gotten in yet, because we do cap it to keep it pretty small, keep it intimate, make sure that we can have good, solid conversations. Like, don't worry, like you will get in. We promise.
Yep.
So yeah, I can't wait to continue that as well, especially with the physical things.
So exciting.
Yeah. Really, really fun. So the night before we went on the ruck, that was this past Friday night, you and I went and saw the new movie that's out, Sound of Freedom, which follows the story of Tim Ballard, and we'll get into both of these things. But I just wanted to start off with, guys, if you have not gone and seen this movie yet, you need to. You need to take you and your family, you and your girlfriend, you and whoever, your friends. You guys need to go and see this movie. And we'll cover why here in this episode, but trust us. Like, it's not too often that I'm pretty adamant with people, like, you need to go see it. Because I had a ton of people asking. We both put up a couple stories about it and had several people asking.
Some pointed stories,
right,
so to speak.
Yeah, right. Several people asking what it was about, and all I would respond with was, it was super powerful. You need to go see it.
Yeah.
Kind of leaving them hanging, keeping them curious, but that's all that needs to be said. Like, you need to go and see it. So, guys, if you have not gone and seen Sound of Freedom, I don't know that it's in all of the theaters around the area. I think there were only select theaters that got it, just because it is a lower budget movie and someone that worked in the industry for a long, long time. Like, that happens. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with politics or anything like that. It could, but those lower budget movies don't always get widespread, like the big ones, like Indiana Jones or the Marvel movies, Star Wars. But find a theater and go and see it as soon as you can, because I am a little concerned that it'll be taken out of theaters if we don't continue to support it like it needs to be.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with kind of giving you guys a brief overview of Sound of Freedom. We're not going to give all the details because, again, you need to go and see it for yourself.
Don't be talking about it either. Oh, yeah, I need to see it. And then
never see it.
It's been a month and you still haven't seen it. Yeah, don't do that bullshit. Yeah. This is one of those that you need to watch.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And what's been really encouraging is not only the theater that you and I were in, my family saw it the night before us, the one they were in. We had a couple buddies go and see it as well this past weekend. All of the theaters have been jam-packed, which is amazing. It's amazing to hear. You were obviously decked out in your Kill All Pedophiles gear, which was sick. Like, what better movie to wear that to,
I should have put the hoodie on, too. So I
could have worn the hoodie.
Yeah,
we both.
That's a good point. Yeah. So basically, we didn't do our duty.
We got to go see it again.
Yeah. I'd watch it 18 times if we
Yeah.
needed to. I don't give a shit. Yeah.
But essentially, like I mentioned, it follows this guy, Tim Ballard. And Tim Ballard worked for Department of Homeland Security. Okay. And a lot of his work was finding and catching and arresting pedophiles here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And pretty early on in the movie, you find out that he has caught, what was the number?
288 total pedophiles.
288 pedophiles.
And this is up to like close to the time of his end of his time in DHS.
Yeah.
In Department of Homeland Security. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if they actually said what year this movie was set in. They did say, however, at the end that the movie was actually filmed 5 years ago.
Yep.
And it just now finally made it to theaters.
Well, that's something we can talk about too, because Disney bought 20th Century Fox and shelved the movie.
Right.
So,
which makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. It's Disney.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
anyways, yeah.
So at this time he had caught 288 pedophiles, which is amazing. I mean, that's incredible to get that amount of people, off the streets, off the dark web, selling kids and all this stuff. But one of the other characters asked Tim Ballard how many kids he had gotten back to their families. His answer was 0. He had caught 288 pedophiles, but he had gotten 0 kids back to their families. Now, that wasn't intentional, of course, but you kind of see his reaction to him saying 0, like,
kind of took a step back a little bit.
Maybe I need to kind of reframe how I'm approaching these types of situations. Now, yes, get these pedophiles out of here, and not only in jail, but they should just right to the wood chipper.
Preferably hang them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then put them through the chipper,
Which one first? Oh, wait. The chip, you put it through the chipper. They're not going many other places.
Yeah, you're right. But then the movie kind of turns and he starts following this one specific family, which the movie kind of follows him and this family at the same time. And eventually they come together. The stories come together. But he kind of flips his purpose with it, and eventually has to actually leave Homeland Security. He doesn't get fired, but he puts his resignation in, and he has his reasons for that, and you'll see that in the movie. Actually ends up leaving Homeland Security, and then flips his purpose to getting kids back to their families and back safe and out of the hands of these people. You know,
from what I understand too, this was like the start of what those of you that know Tim Ballard on Instagram, he talks about Operation Underground Railroad. From what we understand, this is the start of that of OUR. From what we understand, at least, and yeah, he does exactly that. It's like him separating from it because there's a certain amount of autonomy he needs in this scenario, and he goes and does his job.
Yeah, yeah, and I think by the end of the movie, at least, it was around 50 or 60 kids that he had gotten out of the hands.
It was 54 at one, and then a few others outside
in
of
one
that too.
operation. Yeah. And it's pretty insane. It's pretty cool too at the end of the movie. Like they show some real world footage of the one specific situation where he gets the 54. Shows real world footage of that operation happening. And it's insane, dude. It was crazy to see, the whole time your heart is just pumping, your palms are sweating, and it by the end of the movie, I think you're going to feel two things. One, you're going to feel grossed out. You're going to feel disgusted. Like, how is this real? And we're going to get into some numbers here in a few minutes, guys. But, like, how are people doing this? How do people see children, small children, in the movie you see as young as, like, 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And you hear of up to about 14, years old.
You also see a kidnapping of basically a literal baby.
Oh yeah, and that was real world footage as well. They showed some of that too of a literal baby. It looked to be like a homeless person was sleeping, like on a sidewalk or something, or actually it might have been a train station is what it kind of looked like. And again, this is real footage. You just see this guy approach. He lays down next to this person. He reaches over with one hand, picks the baby up, stands up, and there's people walking by, literally people walking by, and he's just like holding the baby as if it was his own kid. Walks away with it. There were kids being taken on dirt bikes and stuff, motorcycles, just out in the middle of the street, just grabbed and then boom, they zoom off. And it's just like, what in the world? And most of this took place in Colombia as well.
Yes, a lot of the movie does. Yeah.
Some of it takes place in Tijuana, Mexico. Some takes place in the U.S.
And then
in
Honduras
California.
Is the other one.
Honduras is actually where the movie starts. But and what was the province called, or the one?
It started with an N. It was kind of tough to pronounce, honestly.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. And then the way the movie kind of ends is Tim Ballard goes by himself into a village in Colombia, in the southern part of Colombia, goes into a rebel-ran section of the country where...
And it's all in the mountains, so it's very hard to access at this point in time.
Jungle, mountains, rivers, and no one, if you're not a part of these rebels, you don't go in or out. Like, it's that strict. Like, these guys are running it, weapons and basically armies and slaves, of all ages. They were kids and adult slaves in these villages and whatnot. And he eventually gets the one child that he's specifically looking for. And pretty incredible how he got her out of there, And but so you're going to feel sick at the end, and you're just going to be pissed off. Like, you walk out of that theater.
If you have a heartbeat, you're going to be pissed off.
Yeah. You walk out of that theater and, like, I'm ready to stack bodies tonight.
Yep.
Like, we're going pedophile hunting, Like, that.
It's exactly what you and I said.
Yeah, it's insane, dude. The feelings you're going to feel during this movie, because he's, like, up and close with some of the pedophiles, too, and, like, conversing with them, and just, it's sickening. It is literally sickening. And he's also really good at his job, because he totally just messes with the minds of these guys.
Yeah.
And I literally said to you, too, after the movie, that, obviously if you're a pedophile, like, you very clearly have an evil side to your mind. Like, there's no doubt about it. But if you're someone in Tim Ballard's shoes, there's also a side of you that's dark, because of the types of conversations he was having with these guys to manipulate them and get information out of them. And it wasn't even like torture and stuff. It was literally just conversation,
Yeah.
And it was insane.
Yeah.
Because they show some other scenes in like interrogation rooms where, there's the yelling and you're an asshole and, all the typical stuff you see in interrogations. But the way he does it, it's just like,
it's cold. It's cold.
It's like, oh, so you're dark too.
It's cold.
Yeah. But that's a man that knows his purpose.
Yeah.
It's a man that knows his mission. He's not afraid to act on it either.
Yeah.
There's a quote in the movie, not from Tim, but from another character, when God talks, you listen. And that was actually another point in the movie where it really hit Tim Ballard, and he kind of stepped back and realized what this guy was saying to him, and then from there on out, like the movie continues on, and it was badass, dude. It was badass.
Yeah, it was.
You want to talk about savage right there? I mean, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just a man doing his job.
Right. I think you know a little bit more than me now, but what is it that Tim Ballard is up to now?
So I think, from what I understand, he is more of the figurehead of Operation Underground Railroad. Mm-hmm. Because if you remember Sean Whalen from Instagram, he actually went undercover as a part of them.
Oh, that I did not know.
This was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I remember seeing this. Basically, they put him undercover, and he was dressed just like some of the people in the movie that were undercover and whatnot. So, from what I understand, because I think, if I had to guess, Tim Ballard's face is probably pretty popular around the pedophile and human trafficking community by now.
Yeah.
I would just take a guess. So I think he is much more of not necessarily like a face-to-face role, because I think a lot of them would probably recognize him.
Probably.
And then it would compromise the mission. But I mean, you get the right disguise, you could get away with it still. But,
definitely.
But he is still full on the Operation Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
That's like his. So those of you that need to look this up, Tim Ballard, Operation Underground Railroad. Don't go on Google, go on DuckDuckGo or something actually like that, or a VPN or whatever you need to do to look this up, because we'll get into why that is. But there are people that either call us bullshit or don't talk about it. So censorship is likely with this type of stuff.
Right.
So
and
just be ready for that.
You mentioned Sean Whalen for you guys, and honestly, girls too, because him and his wife Sax, they put out some great content on Instagram just about relationships, marriage. Sean puts out a lot of masculinity type stuff. So that's SEAN, Sean, and then Whalen is WHALEN.
Yep.
Really, really good people to follow. So, and they actually have a podcast as well. But I did not know that Sean was a part of that. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
That's where I first heard about OUR at that point in time, actually, because I saw Sean, because I love Sean's content, and then boom.
Yeah.
So from what I understand about Operation Underground Railroad is they literally do this. They dress people up that even like Sean, who's a pretty big public figure overall, I'd say, like, millions of followers on Instagram, they can disguise them, and then they send them in to interact with the pedophiles or the traffickers, and then they work with the local authorities, like the Colombian authorities. They work with any of the South American, even probably Russian authorities and whatnot, and wherever country they're in, they end up working with the authorities. So like they have a lot more jurisdiction, because Homeland Security can't just work with every single country.
No,
at least not that I know of.
No, they're strictly based in the U.S.
Yeah. Now, most law enforcement officers in other countries, they don't mess with this shit. Yeah. So they'll quickly develop relationships with these people, and then come in and blow up pedophile rings and blow up trafficking rings, etc. That type of stuff. And it's God's work.
Oh yeah.
No matter what, it's work of faith. And from what I understand, he is still fully at the helm of that.
Yeah.
He hadn't said anything different that I know of, other than he puts a lot more messages out publicly online. I followed him on Instagram, and he puts out messages all the time, and he'll put out example situations of, like we saw in the movie and whatnot, of trafficking and how it happens, and sometimes even raids and whatnot. So he's a follow that you have to have.
He's posted like body cam footage and stuff too, which is pretty cool to see. And you mentioned like Russia and stuff. It's very much a worldwide issue.
Oh yeah,
very much so. In the movie they mentioned that they were looking for one specific kid, and one of the characters was like, dude, she could be in.
They said Russia, Hong Kong, Bangkok, everywhere,
London, could be in California. She could also be a block down the street.
Exactly.
And that kind of puts it into perspective that it's not just a Colombian issue. It's not just a Mexico issue. It's not just a U.S. issue, even though the U.S. is the #1 consumer in the world of child sex and child sex content.
Yep.
The #1. The top. Which is horrifying. It's not surprising. Like, it really shouldn't be a surprise.
Because
there's a lot of messed up people
3-4 years,
Right. And it's trying to be normalized, And here's my issue with this whole topic is I would feel like most people, whether that's you guys listening or just, walking down the street, you ask someone, most people have an understanding that this happens, that pedophilia is a thing. It's not like it's a brand new thing, but most people are like, oh yeah, pedophiles, like they're terrible people. It's terrible that kids are being bought and sold for sex, at 7 years old. Okay, well, why are we just only saying that? Why are we just being aware of it, but not actually doing anything about it?
Yep.
Why are you not going to go see this movie and do the things that they ask at the end of the movie and tell people and like make it known that you saw it and make it known that anyone and everyone needs to go and see this and become more aware of the numbers of how vast of an issue this is across not only our country here, but across the world.
Across the world, yeah.
And people just kind of breeze by it. It's like all the trans stuff that's happening in our country right now.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Why are we replacing all of those American flags in New York City with the transgender flags?
New York City.
I understand that, but like, why are we doing that?
Right. It's just, oh, yeah, the trans people are doing this again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And people will see it and be like, oh, man, like they shouldn't be taking the American flag down. You're right. They shouldn't. So then say that.
Yeah. So what are you going to do about it?
Say that publicly.
That's the thing. That's one thing in Missouri, though. We don't really have to deal with a lot of that stuff. So we just, it's almost like we see it happen. We can't do anything about it. Like we can't fly to New York City and take the flags down ourselves and whatnot.
I mean, I guess we could technically
hypothetically,
do that. Yes. And you're right. In Missouri, we don't have a ton of that. But honestly, crime could then be our argument here for St. Louis and in Missouri. Why are we just okay with Kim Gardner, who obviously is not the prosecuting attorney anymore,
yeah.
But why are we just aware that she doesn't press charges on any of these criminals? Like everyone's saying, oh yeah, it's terrible. She doesn't prosecute that guy that literally someone admitted to murdering someone else. They were free the next day. Probably killing someone else.
And again, how does that relate to the human trafficking issue? Is because we allow crime to happen, it allows all crime to happen.
Exactly.
At a higher rate. Because if we are not harsh on crime, if we don't handle criminal situations in the correct manner, other stuff like human trafficking increases.
Right.
Other stuff like murder increases.
Yeah. And just other immoral things. Like that's the whole point of this, is bringing morality back into society. There's no reason it ever should have left. It's obviously intentional.
Is
it time? Is that time? Time for the
conspiracy glasses.
Conspiracy sunglasses.
Hold on. Okay.
They're
on.
Stand by. Might want to take those off for a second. You guys are talking about the broken windows theory.
Glasses is off. Glasses are off.
We're in the clear. You are talking about the broken windows theory, where I think it was when Rudy Giuliani was mayor of New York.
Yep.
Basically saying, if a neighborhood has broken windows and you don't fix those, it will increase the likelihood that crime is going to happen there because it's not as nice of an area. Basically, his whole point was prosecute low-level, like misdemeanor crimes extremely harshly because then that prevents them at that lowest level, which therefore encourages better behavior up
the chain. Yeah.
And I think it was a nuts decrease into crime in the 80s and 90s in New York City.
Yeah, Giuliani did a great job.
It was
I don't know much about him now. I think he's done some stuff now, but
it was a nutty decline of crime in the 80s and 90s in New York City because of that broken window theory. Where you shoplift, you're in jail for like years. Like he would just hammer people for low-level offenses.
Yeah.
Because think about that.
and don't shoplift.
Well, think about that. As a criminal, you're going to start out with that low-level offense, right? You shoplift. Oh, I didn't get caught this time. Next is you put on the shiesty and you rob the store. And then the next is...
Can you show us what a shiesty looks like, Mitchell?
Yeah, I'll Photoshop one on my face when I say that. And then the next, right, you got away with robbing that store, right? The next is armed robbery.
Yeah.
And it just progresses from there. If you're super
100%.
harsh on these low-level crimes, broken windows theory, it will typically result in a better
Great input there, Mitchell.
overall solution.
Well,
That's phenomenal input.
And that's like places like Singapore. If you litter, you literally just litter.
Excuse my French, but they don't fuck around there. They do not fuck around at all there.
Your hand is gone. Like they literally cut hands off.
Man.
Like literally, they cut hands off and stuff
I
for
think you
stealing.
get caned if you litter.
If you litter,
Yes, that's
if
what
you
it is,
If you litter, they literally take the cane and just beat the shit out of you.
Yeah,
in the
you just
middle of the
get
street.
tuned up with a cane if you litter. Like, what?
Your face gets rearranged.
Yeah.
UFC style.
But who has one of the lowest crime rates in the world?
Boom, Singapore.
Broken
That's
windows theory, Mitchell. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
that was
good stuff.
That was good, dude. I had actually never heard that before.
Me either. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, I guess.
Well,
but
there is a reason Mitch is the smartest guy in the room.
we keep saying it. There's a reason we have him on.
And there's also a reason he is just now on camera, So let's hear it.
What do you mean by that?
No, we love you. We love you, Money Mitch. Yes. But I think it's time for the glasses to go back on. Yep. Conspiracy glasses. So taking the moralization out of society. I can't even look at you, dude.
Dude, I
You
know.
look
I'm trying
hilarious.
not to look at you right now too. This is bad.
For those of you that are on video, you see how goofy we look right now.
If you don't watch this on video, by the way, at least watch part of the episode. It is.
Watch this right now.
I
Yes.
literally, we laugh at ourselves. It's such a ride on YouTube, bro. Oh
It's
my
so
gosh.
funny.
Yeah.
But it's intentional to, one, take patriotism out of the country,
Mm-hmm.
to have no faith, no support of the country, to not be patriotic. The whole like silent majority thing was glorified during the Trump Biden debates and just stuff from the past few years with COVID and whatnot. Oh, the silent majority, like we're gonna come out, and we're gonna get Trump back in there and
Garbage.
whatnot. No, it's
Such pussy shit.
Well, and it's
Straight up.
It's to keep you silent.
Yeah.
It's to keep you silent, and then here's the glasses, or the reason for the glasses. It's so that they can control everything and inevitably enslave us or kill us.
Because
both.
we stay silent.
Put us in
We still
camps.
act like we're the majority.
Right.
And we stay silent and we don't do shit about it.
Exactly. So I think we're good on the glasses
Yeah,
there.
that's true. Well, have you ever? So you've heard the term? You probably heard the term like moral neutrality. How like the live and let live type of theory and whatnot. That's one thing that
Not when it comes to pedophiles.
no, there's no live and let live there.
No.
If you show your penis to a child,
Yeah. See ya.
we cut it off there and then send you to cell 142.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it 124 or 142?
No, it was 142.
Cool.
Go watch the movie and you'll know what we mean
Yeah,
by cell
that's
142.
a favorite part of the movie.
Yeah. It's in a Colombian prison.
I don't think you want to go there.
No.
Just a guess. But
They were telling this fat American dude they're going to send him to cell 142.
this fat slob
Oh,
American.
Yeah. Who had just bought a kid. By the way.
Yep.
Yeah. It was, I wish he would have been sent to 142.
Yeah.
Dude had 18 chins. Like we're talking 350.
Oh, easily 350.
Minimum.
Easily.
Yeah, minimum.
He looked like Andy when he used to be 350.
True.
Man.
Yeah, Andy was large.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But so the concept, what I meant by what I was going with moral neutrality. So it's again, live and let live concept, that type of stuff. It's just the kind of the sit by and freedom is freedom.
Right.
It's a free country. Just let whatever happen. But the problem is what Mitchell's saying. If you don't prosecute little things like shoplifting and whatnot, or you allow stupid little shit like somebody believing they're a man when they're a woman, or they're a woman, they're a man, et cetera, flip, flop, or they're somehow in a
Sea monster.
They're Nessie. They're Nessie the Loch Ness monster. Mitchell's face.
This is also why you guys need to watch YouTube. Side note here is you need to see Mitchell's reactions to what we say.
Oh yeah, dude.
Take San Francisco for a real life example
Yes,
right
there
now.
were exactly where I was going with that.
Yeah. I mean, there's just literally feces on the sidewalk.
Well,
and,
but talking about the stealing thing, I think we've all seen the videos of like a Target, like literally
Looted.
everything is locked
Looted,
up.
yeah.
And there was one dude who had like a drill and was like trying to steal stuff behind these like plexiglass boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
You wonder why businesses are leaving, which leads to a decline of that city because there's no economy there anymore.
right.
And then the crime gets worse because there's no economy.
It's up to like 1,000 is a misdemeanor, right? That's what it was for a while. That you could steal up to $1,000 in any type of item, and that would be a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
But if you went over 1,000, it was a felony.
Yeah.
So that's what encouraged
So these
it.
people would bag out. They'd get $999.99 of stuff, and then you'd be good.
I mean, dude, you could steal an iPhone.
Dude.
Oh
ready to
yeah,
rock.
yeah.
You
steal AirPods. You could steal whatever.
Yeah.
So yes, that's
Almost a damn computer at that point in
PS5
time. PS5, yeah.
Yeah.
that's
nice
a real world
computers.
example of where that leads.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's the problem. That's the problem because we've talked about this concept before of freedom is awesome, but there are consequences to certain things.
Yeah,
if freedom
absolutely.
just doesn't mean just shake your wiener in front of kids and whatnot,
Right.
and again, like that's what it's led to at this point in time. We've let it go. It started with you could be somehow you can be the opposite gender, which is literally biologically impossible.
Right.
And then now it's ended up with grown men in Seattle showing their wieners to children.
Yeah. Well, and then, we've talked about some examples too. You have parents that are perpetuating the problem
100%.
with their own kids, that they're
100%.
supporting their kids who identify as they, or identify as a girl when they're a boy, or they're a girl identifying as a boy. Is that what I just said? Whatever. Both ways.
Whatever. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Or they identify as a furry or whatever. And it's like,
or they're shitting in litter boxes and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's just like, how are you a parent and like, how are you okay with that?
No.
Like, what is wrong with you?
It's so unacceptable, because the picture I saw of in Seattle was these naked dudes on a bike, and this dad or mom was just walking their kid along while these new dudes are just right there with their wieners hanging out and just dragging them right by.
I know. I don't get
Insane.
it. And then you saw was June Pride Month? I think it was, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Which the real
that
Pride
means.
Month is July.
Yeah, based.
American Pride. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Red pill.
Yeah.
Men's Mental Health Month.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what June is.
Yeah, right.
Get the shit out of here.
We
I'm
just
so tired of that bullshit.
breezed by that.
Oh, we get Memorial Day one day for our troops.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
But anyway, you saw all these parades and stuff during June, these pride parades and all this other garbage, and you see these people like in I don't even know what it's called, but essentially like sex wear.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Like
what you're talking
bondage.
about. It's
bondage.
BDSM.
That was
BDSM.
Yes, that's what I was looking
bondage,
for.
domination, sadomasochism. Yep. I know.
Rattled
I know.
that off.
I should know that, but it's because of that class I took in college.
Okay, anyway,
Yeah.
but you have men dressed in this stuff, and like I saw one where this guy was dressed in that. He was in a pickup truck. He was in the bed, and he had his hands on the roof of the truck, and he was being whipped by another dude.
I didn't see that.
And
one.
there are
That's insane.
kids everywhere with their parents, like at the parade to watch. And it's like those parents should have their children removed from them. They should have them removed from them. You are not setting that kid up for success. You are not setting them up to be a meaningful member of society. They are becoming useless, and they're 9 years old.
And they're going to be questioning their sexuality at 9 years old. They're going to be questioning whether they're a boy or a girl at 9 years old.
Exactly.
Which is unbelievably damaging to their mental health.
Kids should be wondering at 9 years old, you should be wondering,
if I'm going to get to play in the sandbox that day.
Yeah. Or am I going to play shortstop at my game? Yeah, my baseball game today. You know? Or what picture are we going to draw at school?
In art today.
You know, or whatever. Like, that's the stuff kids need to be doing.
Yes.
They don't need to be indoctrinated into this, though. And the parents and the teachers that are perpetuating this, like, you should lose your job, you should lose your kids, and there's part of me that just wipe them off the face of the earth. You're not doing anything productive for the future of society, of the country, of the world.
And that's where the problem of that moral neutrality with freedom comes in, because if you want a functioning society, it's not possible to just live and let everything live.
No.
There are limits to what is good and bad and good and evil.
Right.
There are limits to that. And the trafficking industry is an exact example of that. What's the number? How much a year of a business is this? Human trafficking?
Oh, yeah. This was the big one, guys. The human and specifically child trafficking industry is a $150 billion business yearly. Every single year. $150 billion with a B dollar business. That is insanity. That is absolute insanity.
Yep. Because think about how much sports teams cost. They cost billions of dollars. That's...
Well, some of them do. Not all of them.
Yeah, like the Cowboys and the Yankees are the ones I think of. But
yeah. But those are like 2 or 3 billion. You know,
and think about how big of a business we consider that.
Exactly. Those are enormous.
They're
especially
massive
those two specifically.
businesses.
You think of Dallas, you think of the Cowboys. You think of New
$150
York.
billion a year. You know, when did Apple finally bring that much in? How long did it take them to get to that point?
That
you know
out.
what I mean?
Mitch, can you look up when Apple made their first billion?
Yeah, what I was going to say is think about this in the context of like Pablo Escobar, where he was bringing in so much money, he basically could be on like the Fortune 10.
Fortune 10,
yeah.
So that's how you got to think about that. This business would probably be in the Fortune.
It would be on the NASDAQ.
50.
It would be top 50. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be insane.
That's the way to think about that.
I'm actually pretty curious about that, though. You look up
Elon
Apple's.
bought Twitter for $44 billion.
There you go. It's not even half of what this is.
This is probably
barely
more
a
than
quarter of
SpaceX. More than Tesla?
Probably.
More than likely.
Probably.
That's what's terrifying. It rivals those at minimum, even if it's not equal to
Right.
or more or whatever it is. It rivals that.
Right.
A literal using children and humans to make money off of.
Mm-hmm.
Because what did they say? What did the actress or whoever like help facilitate all the what's it called, all the trafficking say? She said, this is a product you can use multiple times a day.
Oh yeah, because
It's not just discardable.
Yeah, I think Jim. How do you say his name?
Jim Kezevel,
Kezevel, I think.
Like
so
that,
he
yeah.
also, the main character, the guy that plays Tim Ballard, also played Jesus
He's a
in The
stud.
Passion. If those of you that have maybe seen The Passion, but yeah, someone said to him, or maybe it was the woman that kind of was kind of the face of the
original part of the trafficking.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that you can. They were using a comparison to drugs or something.
Yeah.
Like you could sell cocaine once, they use it, it's gone. But you could sell the same kid 5 to 10 times in a single day.
A day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
I mean,
they're,
hell, dude,
they're just saying screw it and doing it every day.
But that, you could sell the same kid every hour of every day. Switching hands 24 times a day. You know? And I'm sure that happens.
I'm sure there's numbers close to that.
Yeah.
Apple had a market cap of $10 billion in 1999. They reached their first billion in December 12th, 1980. Their share price.
Really?
Yeah, they went.
That's a lot earlier than I
They went
expected.
public.
A lot earlier,
They went
yeah.
public December 12th, 1980, with a public offering of 4.6 million shares at $22 a share.
Wow.
Yes, but Apple's, I think, one of the very few companies. Their market cap today is $3 trillion. So
Hard to comprehend that, but yeah.
But again, 150 billion. That's comparable to Fortune 500.
It's
Companies.
easily, it's easily on the Fortune 500, the NASDAQ, you name it. It's all those top companies.
That's just got to be the way you think about it. Think of a publicly traded company
Right.
worth 150 billion.
Right.
That's a gargantuan business.
It's a very
Absolutely.
successful company.
Yeah, that's exactly. You think of those big companies that, whenever you hear, those big companies, what do you think of? You think of Apple, you think of Nike, you think of Disney, you think of Tesla now, that's what this fits in there with, right up there with it. And it's all like underground money. It's dark money. It's blood money. It's money made on the backs of young kids.
That's what's crazy. This is what they're estimating for what it's worth.
It's a good point.
This is because we don't, again, like you just said, it's dark money. We don't know.
We don't know.
For all we know, it's a $250 billion plus.
For all we know, it's $1 trillion business.
For all we know.
You know what I mean? It's insane.
I wouldn't even
dude.
be halfway surprised if that was the case.
Insane.
Wouldn't be surprised at
I
all.
actually wonder, maybe you can look this up too, Mitchell. I wonder what the yearly business of like marijuana is around the world.
That's a good question.
Like Pablo Escobar, because obviously that's how he made his money, was weed.
And then he moved to cocaine. Was that correct?
I don't know that he ever was in the cocaine business.
I thought he did. Maybe I'm crazy. I
My
don't know.
only knowledge of him is I watched Narcos, which obviously followed his story like really, really closely. Really good series too.
Great
honestly.
series.
It was very,
Yeah.
very good. But I think because he was obviously killed in Colombia, was it? I think it was in Colombia.
It might have been like Ecuador or
No, I think it was
Nicaragua.
Colombia. I'm pretty sure
okay.
it was Colombia. But anyway, before he could move on to anything else. But as far as I know, he just was in the marijuana business. But I'm actually really curious to find out what it is comparatively here. I think Mitch, you're going to pull up those numbers.
It looks like U.S. cannabis sales hit record $17.5 billion. This looks like it's from
billion or million?
Billion.
Billion.
With a
So
B.
so not even close.
Fraction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literal fraction of
Yeah.
what this is.
But we're all about, the war on drugs, and that's like the first thing that
That's what we
people
waste
talk
our energy
about.
on.
Yeah,
Yep.
which like that's also illegal, and it's dark money, it's black market stuff.
Yeah.
So like I'm not
Not justifying crack or whatever.
No,
We're not,
of course not.
Yeah.
And we're not saying to not get a handle on that, but like it gets so much more
but
attention
there are
to
priorities.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously we know, and maybe this is another time for the glasses,
Oh, here we go.
but we obviously know that especially in today's US government, the majority of those people are involved in all of these things. They have their hands in it all. The Bidens, the Clintons,
Yep.
there's
There's plenty of evidence where it's literally
Lindsey
like
Graham,
they've told three-letter agencies not to prosecute certain
to
things or not to
prosecute
go
it.
after certain things with human trafficking and whatnot.
Or
There's
to push
documented
other
cases.
things.
Exactly.
Push other things, yeah.
to fix their agenda.
Right.
Sorry, laws are laws. Sorry, bureaucracy is bureaucracy.
Yeah,
we only have this much of a budget to give you.
Exactly. Get out of here. But you continue to send money to Ukraine.
Oh, yeah.
So you can fill the pockets of the politicians. But, oh, no, that's a conspiracy theory.
Imagine if we take $100 billion and fund the human trafficking operation for our three-letter agencies.
Yeah, right.
Imagine that.
Right. Well, fund the fight against human trafficking.
Yeah. So, wow. Sorry.
We don't want to be funding that game.
Jeez. My bad, guys.
Well, the glasses are on. They're probably already being funded
Yeah,
by
I was about
taxpayer
to say,
dollars.
yeah, that's also true. Especially the CIA.
Oh, 100%.
Especially the
without a doubt.
CIA, dude.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We're diving in, boys.
Oh, well, yeah.
The glasses are on.
Yeah, the glasses are on. The glasses help you see clearly.
Let's be really honest, though. Do we really trust these three-letter agencies are not involved in this? In somehow covering it up on some level?
shot.
Do we really believe that they have somehow magically our best interest in mind?
It should be
When
pretty
they
clear.
killed JFK.
They killed JFK. We've talked about 9/11. You know, you can talk about World War II as well. You know, and
A lot of stuff.
a lot of stuff. And you know, it
Vietnam,
was interesting.
Yeah,
It was interesting too. Well, I guess we're kind of still.
I was going to say we probably should keep these on.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of scary to think about. Like, okay, what is true? What of what we've been told and taught is true and is not true? You know, but after what happened the past 3 years with COVID, it really starts to make you wonder, like, what the hell's going on here? You know, and how long has censorship been going on through the media?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how long have they been manipulating the minds of the world and of our country and of our citizens on what? You know,
I
for
have
how
a
long?
healthy skepticism of everything now.
I know.
Of literally everything.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's part of their goal too. The
True.
MK Ultra experiments, all that stuff that came along with it. It's a big one to look into.
Yeah.
But it shows, like, even like the MK Ultra stuff, it shows the power of those three-letter agencies.
Right.
It shows.
Why don't you give a brief overview of that?
So MK Ultra was basically a test, and correct me if I'm what I miss here, Mitchell, but is basically a test that was given through the media of how they could implement a sort of mind control over the population.
And it was the CIA, correct?
It was the CIA
involved in
that
this,
ran
yes.
these experiments, yes.
Yeah.
And they basically were using MK Ultra to then use mass media to form public opinion around whatever they wanted. They shifted and shaped the opinions of around whatever they wanted. And real talk, probably the only thing that has slowed that down is social media.
Oh, 100%.
Because social media allows for more open communication like we have right now.
Yes.
And it's much more unregulated communication, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because they can MK Ultra allowed them to regulate the public opinion of what we were seeing.
The actual goal of MK Ultra was, I think it started in the 1950s to the 1970s, and essentially the CIA wanted to develop mind-controlled drugs and interrogation tactics where people would, divulge stuff more easily. And the problem with it is that these experiments were pushed through accredited United States universities under the guise of research. That was the issue with them.
Right.
I think it was 8,000 people or something like that. And no one knew the CIA was involved because it was made to look like it was legitimate research for legitimate purposes.
Right. Well, and on this topic, I was just talking with somebody the other day who had been to Canada within the last few years. I think this was pre-COVID that they were there, but it was while Trump was in office here. And she was telling me that in Canada, they don't even have Fox News. And they thought everyone in America, everyone, right and left, hated Trump. That's what they were being told in Canada.
Shows you.
Yeah.
Shows you what can be done.
Were there a lot of people that didn't like Trump? Absolutely. Were there a lot of people that liked Trump? Absolutely. But to have an entire country that is our neighbor thinking that the entire country hates its president, which is what we have now, because the right and left both hate Biden. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Right. And they can frame it how they want.
Yeah. But it shows that it also shows that this is not only happening in the U.S. This is very much a worldwide issue, But I don't know, dude.
You want to dive right into our next piece of information here we got?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right, guys. So this was actually divulged in the movie, and we kind of looked it up to confirm this as well, because obviously this movie was filmed in 2018. But at the time, it was filmed in 2018. It was 22 million new pieces of child porn were released last year. The year before that were released on the internet. 22 million new pieces. New pieces.
New.
So again, hypothetically, that I don't know if that means
in addition
multiple of the same child, whatever it is.
Right.
But that was a 5,000% increase from what child pornography has been on the internet before that.
Yeah.
5,000%.
Yeah. Another number you just can't comprehend.
Another number that's not arguable, that this is an issue. This is happening.
Yeah.
This is real.
Right.
Because I saw 3 different articles, and there's definitely more than them, but these are the 3 I saw. Jezebel, Rolling Stone, and The Guardian. All 3 of them, especially Jezebel and Rolling Stone, they both called it a QAnon conspiracy theory. That human trafficking was a QAnon conspiracy theory.
Right.
That it wasn't as bad as we made it out to seem.
Yeah.
That this movie was going to inspire vigilantism, which I hope it does. Real talk.
Yeah.
And then Guardian basically said it was like some kind of it was like a dad quacked out dream. Basically, they called it that. This movie, that's what that was. They called it just a crazy dad's dream of vigilantism.
So they go kill people, defend their kids.
There you go.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what I do. But obviously, if you're a self-respecting dad, you're murdering the guys who
without
sexually abuse your kids. But
without a doubt, yeah. And it also brought up one piece of information too, because this is a form of slavery, and there are, what it was saying too, and we looked this up to confirm it as well. There's more slaves in the world now than there ever were in history.
Ever.
And there's 20 plus million of those are kids. Millions and millions of kids. This isn't like, it's 1,000 kids that are being bought and sold. No, millions. Multiple millions of kids are involved in this. And again, that 20 plus million, that's only kids. So the total numbers are even higher than
That's
that.
the thing, because it's saying total slaves.
Yes.
Because human trafficking is still an issue whether somebody is over 18 or under 18. Doesn't
absolutely.
matter. Doesn't change it if it's worse or better.
Yeah,
like that too.
without a doubt.
I mean, granted, with children, you could argue it's worse because you're corrupting a child.
Absolutely.
You could definitely argue that child trafficking is worse than just human trafficking but that's semantics. We're going to get into semantics here. I'm not going to waste time on that. But you know what I mean?
Well, and guys, especially for women, I think you have to be extremely aware of your surroundings, especially when you're by yourself in the areas that you might be in. Okay. Now, if you're in a good neighborhood, you're fine. You should be fine.
Still should be aware.
Still be aware.
Yeah.
Even you and I do it when we're rocking by ourselves, or running or walking. We're just aware. We're not sketched out, or we're not paranoid or anything like that. But we're just aware. And as women, you guys need to, you need to learn how to use firearms. And that goes for men and women for that matter. You need to be able to be functional with a firearm.
Yep.
And if you notice, so I've heard from someone that had some ties to the ATF, and just had heard other stories. And she was telling me that here in St. Louis, because we're in the middle of the country, and a lot of the human trafficking stuff goes right through here because we have some major highways here in Missouri. What people will do is they'll put a little zip tie on one of your door handles.
Oh, I've seen that. Yep.
And that's a signal to someone else, hey, she's by herself. Follow this car.
Have you seen the new method? It's a paper towel. They put it in the gas,
oh yeah,
and it has chloroform or whatever on it, and that basically knocks you out when you grab that.
Yeah. So if you ever notice anything odd, with your car or
windshield of your car, door handle, mirror,
go back inside the store you were in, or call the police,
or get right in your car, lock the doors. Maybe.
Well,
I don't know.
I would say don't do that right away because they're going to follow you. That's why they're doing those things, So I would say go back into the populated store where there's other people around, call the police, call, your family or whatever, but don't go somewhere by yourself is the point, and those are just some examples that I had someone tell me. I'm sure there's other ones and whatnot. But
plenty more.
But it's being aware of your surroundings. In the movie, the way that they got these kids, the other side of the movie, I said it was following Tim Ballard, and then it was following a specific family, or really 2 kids of a family. Mm-hmm. The movie starts out that this woman, who you go on to find out is basically the face, because she's Miss Columbia. She's former Miss Columbia, so this beautiful woman, and is kind of the face of this trafficking, I don't know, what would you call it? empire, ring or a
yeah.
specific set of people.
Mainly a ring, because it sounded like they'd been doing at least like they basically had hundreds of kids or thousands of kids coming through this trafficking ring. Yeah.
So she approaches this family's house and wants to bring the kids to a beauty contest tryout or something like that. It was tryouts for a beauty
or like
pageant
a talent contest
or talent contest, whatever it was. So the dad agrees to it. They're all the four of them, the dad and two kids and the woman are all sitting there, and he agrees to take them to the hotel room, single hotel room in this sketchy looking hotel. Now, granted, all of Colombia kind of looked the same as far as the movie goes. Just run down like
the whole area is just sketchy.
Yeah. And the dad goes to pick up the kids later on in the night, and the hotel's dark.
They tell him a 7 p.m. pickup time.
Sharp. She was like very adamant, like sharp. He gets there right at 7, knocks on the door, no answer, ends up getting into the door. The room is dark and empty. The whole rest of the hotel, empty.
Gone.
Yeah.
The kids are gone.
That's how it starts.
Yeah.
Literally how the movie starts.
So it shows you how aware you need to be as a father, as a mother, as yourself in trafficking situations.
Yes.
It does.
And just trust the people that you might be leaving your kids with. We're not saying, don't
leave him with Uncle Johnny.
Yeah,
because you think that he's like somehow now you watch this movie, you're paranoid that he's a trafficker.
Like don't let your one of the other families bring your kids to their sports game or something. Like that's not at all what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. But you just I don't know, you got to be aware. And obviously we're not parents.
There are instincts to it. Yeah.
There are. And obviously we're not parents, so we're not trying to speak out of line here, but just being aware. Being aware. Keeping people around you.
Ladies, this is why if your man is protective of you, or asks you to not go to certain areas, or has you walk in the inside of the sidewalk, or just in general is protective of you out in public, there's a reason behind that.
Yeah. And it's not just human trafficking reasons, but it's just a protective instinct.
It's a safety thing.
Yes. It
just is.
I don't know. It was a very, very powerful movie. It really... because you and I, we had a decent understanding of what was going on in this industry. We've put a lot of effort into researching this and trying to find out more about it. And then you see the movie, and then you kind of see pictures, whether it's a movie or not. You kind of just see the pictures, and I mean the movie. By pictures, I mean that you see it in your mind of what's happening. You see how these people manipulate other people. You see how smart the people running these pedophile operations are as well, like using a beauty contest tryout. Most people aren't going to think much of it. Like, oh, okay, great. You want my kid to, be a part of this contest or whatever. Like, that's great. Maybe have a vetting of the company that maybe they're saying they're from or, whatever. But it really opens your eyes, and it makes you so mad. I mean, just so angry. And so what I hope is that when people watch this, they don't just, man, that was a crazy movie. Like, that was powerful. Like, that's crazy what is happening to those kids, and then go on with their American lives and not have to worry about it.
And not say another word about
Exactly.
Just watch the movie. Oh, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
You're done.
Oh, that was in Colombia. Like, that doesn't happen here in the U.S. Like, nope, the U.S. is, like I said, the number one consumer
Considering
of
we
child
have an
sex.
open border.
Yeah.
That doesn't exactly help.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, I don't know. You got anything else on that?
Yeah, what I was going to say to end off, those of you that basically you discredit this movie, you say it's a conspiracy theory movie.
Yeah.
Those of you that don't speak out about it, you don't say a word about human trafficking. Those of you that don't act on human trafficking, those of you that just think it's kind of a overblown topic.
An abstract
idea, topic that you can't really understand. Those of you that, in general, those of you that encourage things that lead to pedophilia, like the parades with penises in front of little kids.
Right.
Those of you that do that, I would just warn you to check yourselves and make sure you're going down the right path and make sure you're not on the wrong side of things.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, you are. If you're calling this movie a conspiracy movie, or you're kind of laughing at it, or you're encouraging naked men in front of little children,
or that's right-wing propaganda.
Or that's right-wing propaganda.
Nope.
If you're saying things like this, don't be surprised when the pendulum swings back your way, the wrong way. so to speak. And you're
No, the right way, but you're on the end of that. You're on the receiving end of what's going to happen.
It's not going to be very fun for you.
Exactly.
Just a fair thing to call out. Just a fair thing to say.
Yeah.
To check yourselves and make sure you don't get looped in with the pedophiles we're putting in the chipper.
Yeah. And guys, on that, because that's great from you there. That's great. And you're exactly right. But guys, like, listen, we understand that it's hard, it's scary, it's nerve-wracking to speak out against things that are normalized or so. COVID being one of them, the vaccine being another, this being another, the potential of stolen elections or rigged elections and stuff like that, or just any number of the immoral things that are currently happening in the world and in our country specifically, and specifically over the past 3 years. I get it. Like, it's scary to talk out against it, whether that's on social media. It's scary to have a different opinion than maybe someone in your family or a close friend of yours. Like, I get it. I get it. I do. We both do. We both. It took us a while.
Yeah, we do.
It took us a while when we started the podcast to be like, hey, like, we should probably start covering like some current events and stuff, because we put a lot of time and effort into this, but this could be a good way for us to speak out against it and bring more awareness to these specific topics.
Oh, you guys are just fitness guys. Why do you talk about it?
Well, because it matters.
This episode should tell you why.
And this will be my final line here, and it's a quote from the movie. It's exactly why the title is going to be what it is. God's children are not for sale.
Are not for sale.
Never. Never.
And there will be consequences for those that put them up for sale.
There will be accountability. There will be consequences. That's right. For those of you that might be new, at the end of all of our episodes, Mitch asks us a Q&A question that we get from you guys, the listeners or the viewers. You can submit these to us through our DMs on Instagram at untapped.llp. You can also email them to us. There's a button on our Instagram, but the email is extricationfitness@gmail.com. And these questions can be about anything, guys. It can be about a current event. It could be about a fitness-related question. It could be a mindset. It could be funny. It could be a funny question.
Yeah, could be about us as Untapped.
Could be about, yeah. Anything. Ask us anything. They all get sent to Mitch right away. We really do not look through these because we like to be kind of candid with our answers and whatnot.
Be surprised, so to speak. Yeah.
Please send those questions in. And I think we're going to start putting question boxes on our Instagram story just to make it even easier for you guys to be able to submit those. So anyway, Money Mitch, do your thing.
So I'll preface this with it could definitely be a question. I don't want to loop it into this, but just the listeners and us just need to think about where we draw the line. We just really need to think about where that line is drawn, whatever that looks like in your life, which transitions into the question, fellas, how do we avoid life's daily temptations, porn, lust, not having moral standards, because porn employs quite a few children.
Very nice. Very good question.
What did we say earlier? 22 million new pieces of child porn.
It's very prevalent. So
Yeah,
if you're
absolutely.
if you're a young man on Pornhub and you find a girl you like, for all you know, she could be 16 years old.
For all you know. Yep.
Yeah.
She could be 13.
Right.
Anywho, which only leads to encouraging the decreasing standard here in the U.S. while maintaining the understand that when we fail to hold those standards, it is not okay, but it will happen. We all understand that will happen. We're not perfect. We are sinners. Mm-hmm. Essentially, how do we not beat ourselves down when we fail to hold that line?
It's tough.
It is tough.
It's a heavy question, to say the least, for sure, but a great question. How do we not beat ourselves down?
So basically, you're not asking, or this person's not asking, how do we avoid the temptation, but how do we avoid beating ourselves down when we do give in to the temptation?
Yes, because we understand that we are mortal and we are going to give into that temptation.
I've fallen into temptation plenty of times in my life.
Yeah, what are ways? Number one, if and when you fall to that temptation, how do you, not beat yourself down? Number two, how do you understand that you shouldn't have done it, but then move past that and increase your standard around you to where it doesn't lead to something like this topic?
Sure.
I can say as a man who's struggled with pornography for a while, the hardest part is definitely making sure it doesn't just keep spiraling day by day by day, and you start diving back into pornography day by day by day. So How do you get out of that loop? You talk to those closest to you. You talk about it. You speak on it. You make sure it's known that this is a real problem I'm having. It's not some just kind of foreign concept that's over here, just buried, and you bury that concept and you're like, oh yeah, I mean, I'll just get better tomorrow. No, you address it with those around you. You address it with yourself. You go pray. You go talk to God. You set up accountability partners. You set up roadblocks that allow you to allow you to continue setting the standard higher and higher and higher. And next thing you know, you're not watching. And when it comes to like moral standards in general and how we maintain that, that again, I think especially as men, since this question is directed to men, is having those brothers around you. It's having those close to you, because if you put men around you who hold a high standard, you're going to maintain that high standard.
Absolutely.
Just like if you put men with shit standards around you, you're going to have shit standards.
What do you expect to happen?
Exactly.
Right?
It's what Mitchell was talking about, the broken window theory earlier.
Yeah.
Because if you don't handle that little stuff, you don't handle the small stuff in your life that might be going wrong, the big stuff's also going to go wrong.
That's right. I think too, like on your point there, like it's also not being afraid to hold those around you accountable, So not only do you need to be holding yourself accountable, but if you're that someone for your buddy or for whoever, like not being afraid to be like, dude, like this needs to stop. You got to be able to have that relationship with your dude or with whoever to be able to hold them accountable. Otherwise that person's not going to grow. You're not going to grow. It's not going to be an effective relationship. We've talked in the past that relationships are conditional. They are. Both of you should be bringing value, or all of you, if it's a bigger group, all of you should be bringing value. That's exactly why, down the road, when our men's nights continue to grow and grow, like not just everybody's going to be in those. We're setting that standard.
There's a standard that has to be held to be in those.
Yeah. And that doesn't, and I don't, we've had 3. So for those of you that maybe haven't come to one yet, that doesn't mean like,
it doesn't mean you're excluded.
You don't fit the standard, dude. No, not what I'm meaning. That's why I said down the road. Okay. But I think the biggest one is just not putting yourselves in the situation to fall to that temptation. If you're someone that struggles with porn, don't bring your phone with you into the bathroom. Or, if you fall into that temptation late at night, like
set it outside your room.
Put it outside your room, So it's, or if you, I don't know, if you're someone that goes out every single weekend, or you're out at the bar Thursday through Sunday every week, not putting yourself in the situation. So what I mean is like, you might need to change the people you're around, and we've talked about that as well. Like you're going to go through a growth period that is more often than not alone, to figure out who your new people are, who your new crew is, and who those new 2 to 5 people might be, so that you can progress in your daily tasks and habits and go on to lead a better life.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest one for me that I would say is just not putting yourself in the situation.
Yeah.
Which is tough, especially when you're in the moment.
Yeah. And I would say too, for not beating yourself down when you do fail in those scenarios, is you have to understand that you're a human. You have to understand you're imperfect. You have to understand you're a sinner. It's part of the game.
And that's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse
to have the
at
understanding.
All. It's not an excuse at all. You set the accountability around you, like we just said. You set those parameters around you, and then if you do fail, you have something that you can understand. Hey, I'm a human, and now I'm going to get better the next day.
Yeah,
and that's all. That's all you can do, because it's not like one day as 2 24-year-olds and a 22-year-old we're going to wake up the next day and be perfect.
Yeah, right.
That's not really realistic. I would love for that to be the case. Would love for me to be wealthy, perfect Christian all the way through tomorrow.
Sure.
Would love for that to be the case.
Sure.
And can I work towards that? Yeah, but it's not like we can't ever fulfill the image of what God is or Jesus Christ was on this earth. That's not, because again, it's a literal immortal being.
Yeah.
So we're striving toward that day by day, and that's part of the fun. That's the realistically the process of being better that next day, and getting better with the temptation the next day, and getting better with your physical fitness the next day. That's what it is.
100%.
So you can't just sit here and wallow in it, because the minute you wallow in it, the worse you're going to get the next day. You're going to roll the opposite way down the hill. So
that's right, dude.
Yeah,
that's right. That's exactly right. Guys, that's going to be episode 14 of season 3 right there. God's children are not for sale. That's the whole point of this episode. Go and see Sound of Freedom.
Yep.
And if, for whatever reason, if you can't afford movie tickets, they've actually done a great program where people have prepaid for other people to go see the movie for free. We'll find the website. We'll put it in the description of YouTube and on Spotify and all that. It was something with Angel Studios.
Was it angel.com/freedom?
I don't remember.
We'll
find it.
Either way,
It'll
Angel
be in
Studios, we'll put the link on and whatnot. Yeah.
It'll be in the description of the episode wherever you watch or listen to it, because that's pretty cool. You know,
Definitely should be watching this one.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to. Oh yeah, this episode.
If this stays on YouTube for that matter. Now I say that.
Right. But go and see this movie, guys. Bottom line, okay? Take your friends, take your family, go and see this movie. Tell other people to go see it. This is the most important movie of the year, of the decade, maybe even ever.
Of our generation, possibly. Yeah, and if not ever,
It really does hold that much weight. And how do you say it? Jim
Caviezel.
I don't know why I can never remember
Bro,
that.
trust me.
He does a great job portraying Tim Ballard. He's a phenomenal actor. He really, really is. The amount of work that he puts in to play the characters perfectly, like when he did The Passion, like some of the things he did to himself physically to portray Jesus Christ in those situations was unbelievable. You know, literally biting his tongue, parts of his tongue off and whatnot. I'm like, it's crazy. It's insane. It's insane.
Avid Christian as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then Mel Gibson putting this movie together. One of the few big names in Hollywood that is not afraid to take a stand. You know, Mark Wahlberg is another one that does a lot of that type of stuff. Ashton Kutcher has kind of been out of the Hollywood spotlight for like the past decade or so because he's actually taking a ton of legal action against stuff like this, you know, on our side of it. I don't know if that came off weird, but so hats off to Mel Gibson, hats off to Jim Caviezel, and anyone else that's involved in this movie. You guys, don't see the movie, okay? Until next time, peace and love.
Thanks, ladies and gents.